As time goes on, the longer the race is, generally speaking, the more payout that we receive. And you would expect that, right? You would expect that the more time invested would yield a greater payout per race. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the channel. I just want to take a moment real quick and say thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do hit that thumbs up button. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for more great Gran Turismo 7 content in the future. Now, before we jump into the video, just real quick, I want to mention that the video here, basically I'm going to be spending the first few minutes talking about the history of the economy in Gran Turismo 7 and what's got us to where we are today. And then I'm going to do a deep dive into the different grinding methods that are available. And I'm going to share those with you so that you can prioritize your time and really basically get the most out of the time that you're spending in Gran Turismo 7 when it comes to enjoyment and credits per hour. And so I'm going to go on ahead and put a link here. If you want to jump ahead to that, you can go on ahead and do that, get right into the content that interests you. But otherwise, we're going to go on ahead and jump right in here and start talking about the history of the economy in Gran Turismo 7. What's going on, y'all? GT Jesse back with another Gran Turismo 7 video, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about something that I actually haven't touched on the channel yet, and that is the Gran Turismo 7 economy. And you might be wondering, okay Jesse, why are you talking about the economy now? The game's been out for basically 4 months and you haven't touched on it yet, so why now? And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm not going to be shifting my channel focus by any means to be one of these like clicky, grabby channels that's just talking about the latest and greatest way to grind credits, but I thought that it was a really appropriate time for me to talk about this because something came across my desk today regarding the Gran Turismo 7 economy, and I do want to share it with you. It's actually a way that you can really prioritize your time and decide what methods you want to follow in order to grind credits in this game and make the most out of your time, but also still enjoy the game while you do so. So that came across my desk and I want to share that with you. But it's just really interesting because I find it fascinating that I even need to have this conversation or even feel compelled to make a video about this, but I do. And the reason I feel this way is because despite the game's rocky start, and Polyphony's attempts at remedying that rocky start, there's still, I feel, a lot of just general discourse towards the game's economy. And I know that this is an unpopular opinion. There's a lot of people that aren't going to agree with me, but I really don't think that the economy is that bad right now. I just think that the way that Polyphony handled one event in the beginning of the game, when the game first launched, I'm going to, it's 2 words. Can you think of it? Do you know what event I'm talking about? All right, if you haven't thought of it yet, I'm going to tell you. Fisherman's Ranch. Okay, the way that Polyphony handled Fisherman's Ranch when this game first launched, it really set the tone for everything else in the game's economy. All right, so if you weren't around or you weren't keeping up to speed at that point, the game first launched, people found out real quick that Fisherman's Ranch was a great way to grind credits and make money fast. Faster than any other event in the game. Polyphony detected this in their algorithms or monitoring or whatever they do. They noticed this and they nerfed it. They patched it, basically made it so you can't make nearly as much money playing that event anymore. And at the time, people were upset because they saw how expensive cars were. They saw that, the events that they were playing, they weren't making much money on. The endurance events that are out there now, those didn't really exist back then. The roulette tickets, you don't earn anything from the roulette tickets. That hasn't been fixed. Polyphony hasn't made any mention of fixing that. So, all that we knew at the time was there's this event and it makes me a lot of money. And not even a ton of money, but it makes enough money to make it manageable for me to buy things. And then Polyphony goes in and nerfs it. And then Kaz's response to why they nerfed it, Kaz is the CEO or founder of Polyphony, and his response to why they nerfed it is because it's an economy and this is a simulator game, and so it should simulate the economy. Expensive things should be expensive and blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't be able to just make a bunch of money overnight like you do in the real world or don't do in the real world. And I think that that's where they really messed up because it is a driving simulator, right? It's the real driving simulator or whatever their tagline is. But it's not an economy simulator, and people don't play games necessarily to be simulating their real life struggles or whatever, right? People play games because they want to have fun, and you want to do a driving simulator, so you play a driving simulator, but then you can't really play it without shelling out more money by way of microtransactions to afford the things that you want to afford. So I think that Polyphony really shot themselves in the foot with how they handled that, and that really set the tone and just kind of frustrated a lot of people and made it so that, they've just got this like general discourse towards the Gran Turismo economy. So those actions by Polyphony, combined with how they really, from the time that you boot the game up the very first time, they kind of shove microtransactions down your throat. It's really not a good look, and I think it made a lot of people upset right out of the gate. So there have been a lot of other glitches and events that you could do in the meantime to make cash. This is one of them with the Tomahawk S, where you put this special setup on the car, you download this program to your computer, you do share play, and then you just rerun. It basically operates in a loop, running the Pan American Championship over and over and over again. And people were doing this to get like 60,000 credits a pop, running their PlayStation for 24 hours a day to get credits, and not a lot of credits per hour just because the economy is so bad. The other big glitch that was patched was the Tokyo Expressway glitch, where you could basically tune the Tomahawk to have 1300 pp, but the game recognized it as 600. But that's been patched, and that was an event that you would run over the course of like 20 minutes or something and get like 800k. So a really good way to make money fast if you like grinding. And then really beyond that, the only other big glitch that there's been is the most recent engine swap glitch. And that was just patched, yesterday, I think. And so, there haven't been a lot of glitches, so to speak. There have just been events that people can grind. And, I said early on in the video that I don't think that the economy is really in that bad of a state. I just think that people's perception of the economy is really bad because of how Polyphony started this game, how they launched the game and how they handled the microtransactions in Fisherman's Ranch. So the reason I say it's not really that bad is because there are events that you can play where you can get a decent amount of credits per hour. And it's not going to be like you can sit down in one session and grind enough credits to buy a $20 million legendary car. Unfortunately, that is not the case of where the game is right now. But you have to think about the cars as kind of like bosses, right? And there needs to be some challenging element to defeating a boss. So I think back to when I played Grand Theft Auto 5 back in the day, and I'd play online, and they had these like car dupe glitches where I would get on there with my buddies and we would literally spend like 8 hours on a summer afternoon just duping cars over and over and over again. We'd spend a whole day just rinse repeat duping cars so that we could fill one garage after another with the same car over and over and over again. So you basically have an unlimited supply of in-game currency where if you ever need money, all you got to do is sell one of those cars. But guess what happened when I did that? It wasn't very long after that the game lost its appeal. It wasn't really interesting anymore. It wasn't challenging. I wasn't having fun playing it. And I really attribute that to the fact that I kind of made the game too easy. If you can buy anything and acquire anything in a game that's based off of purchasing and acquiring things, then where's the challenge and the desire to continue to want to play when you just have everything on a silver platter? And I think that that's kind of where the Gran Turismo economy is right now, or where people want it to be, I should say. Kind of just want everything to be on a silver platter and really easy to get. But the legendary cars are legendary for a reason. $20 million credit cars, 20 million credits for a reason. When you buy it, you want to have that sense of accomplishment and that satisfaction of I worked hard to get this thing and now I have it and now I'm going to drive it and enjoy it. Where it sucks is when you do that, and unfortunately the legendary car is not one that you enjoy driving. Maybe the model for it wasn't very good or whatever it may be, and then the thing just sits in your virtual garage collecting virtual dust. But that comes with the territory. So anyways, I'm talking a lot about why I feel the economy isn't that bad, but now I'm going to show you with data why I don't think it's that bad. So we're going to go on ahead and flip over to my computer now, and we're going to go over this information that came across my screen earlier today. All right, so here we are. If you came to the video just wanting to see the analysis and the results and to understand which cars to use on which tracks to get, how much money, then this is the part of the video for you. And so I found this on Reddit, and you can see that this post has been gaining a lot of traction. It has 1.2K upvotes, 215 comments. There's been a lot of good dialogue. So this is on the Gran Turismo subreddit, and if you have Reddit, I would definitely recommend going on ahead and just hopping into these comments and reading through. A lot of dialogue about which cars to use. There's even some tuning advice, tuning tips, etc. But I'm here to talk about this, which is this data here. And this is interesting because it's a picture basically that this user, what's his name, Senakuru, uploaded, and it's data that this person has basically collected about their driving results and all that good stuff. So basically they did these events, they recorded the amount of time that it took to do each event, which car they've used, what the prize money is, and then the bonus, and then what the prize money would be with the bonus included. So this is all very helpful and interesting, but I wanted to do a little bit of analysis on it. And so from an analytical perspective, I can't really do analysis off of an image. So I got this data imported into Excel here. And the way that I have this sorted, it's basically by credits per hour. And so you can see it's similar information, it's just presented a little bit differently where minutes are all rounded here. We don't really, not concerned with how many seconds it takes for each race. At least I'm not trying to get that granular with it. What the prize money is, this is in thousands. What the clean race bonus is, this is also in thousands. So this would be 275,000 clean race bonus, 550,000 for a prize. And then the total here, which is the prize with the clean race bonus, it's just these two added. And this is really interesting. So, again, a lot of data here, but I wanted to summarize it in a way that, would basically tell a story. So you don't have to read through this, too granularly to understand what the punchline is. And so if we flip over here to the summary page, I made a couple of plots. And the first one that we're going to look at is the payout versus the time invested. And so this plot basically is a scatter plot. And with the scatter plot, the individual data points aren't all that important, right? We're not too concerned with what each of these little dots represents. All we're really trying to understand here is the relationship between the x variable and the y variable. And basically on the x-axis, so we're going to go back to statistics here. If you took statistics in high school or college, the duration here is on the x-axis. And basically what this says is, and then we have the per race payout on the y-axis, and this includes the clean race bonus. And so what this tells you is there's a pretty strong relationship in the length of the race and how much it pays out. So you can see that basically if we look at just this data point right here, this race takes about 9 minutes and it has a $135,000 payout. If we increase time, so there's not a lot of spread in these earlier data points, but then as we increase time, as time goes on, the longer the race is, generally speaking, the more payout that we receive. And you would expect that, right? You would expect that the more time invested would yield a greater payout per race. But it's not the only thing that you want to take away from this, because there's a risk versus reward element to payouts. And that risk versus reward element can really be illustrated by this next plot here. And so what this plot does, and this is the one that if I were you, I would take a screenshot of it. So there's a lot of information on this plot, and I'll explain to you how to read it if it's not intuitive. But basically, you have every single event on the x-axis here. And these events, so this is obviously not every event in the game. These are just the events that this Reddit user prefers to race. So there's obviously other events, but these are just the ones that they prefer to race again. So if you look at the x-axis, you have the event, and then you have the payout for that event per hour. So the credits per hour is represented by these blue bars, and that is a figure that's represented in millions. So if we look at the Tokyo Expressway 600 pp race, that race is 1.83 million credits per hour. And then if you look at these little dots here, so these dots are represented on basically the secondary y-axis here. And those dots represent the amount of time that it takes to complete the race. So actually I think I need to make the font a little bit smaller so that this can be seen. For some reason I'm having an issue with my mouse. All right, there we go. Let's make the font just a little bit smaller here. There we go. So now we can see the legend a little bit better. I got a little blown out of proportion when I was increasing the font size. But yeah, so the yellow dots are the length of time that it takes to complete a race. And so this is the risk versus reward piece. All right, so you might look at this and say, well, I'm just going to grind Tokyo Expressway all the time because it has the greatest payout per hour. And if you're only, if you're only interested in payout per hour, then sure, that's going to be the way that you maximize that. But if you look at all of these, so these first four here, these first four races, basically, they're all netting you well over 1 million credits per hour. And then if you go further on, like the rest of these are around 1 million credits per hour. So you could hypothetically, if you wanted to, make the game a little bit more enjoyable, make your grinding a little bit more fun, and you're not just repeating the same thing over and over again. You could just as well go through each of these events one at a time. And when you do that, the average payout is going to be about 1 million credits per hour. It's going to be a little bit shy of that actually, but it's going to be close to 1 million credits per hour. Further, if you look at Spa here, so Spa is an interesting data point because, again, this dot and the reference box above it, it represents the amount of time that it takes to complete a race. And so if you look at Spa, it takes 60 minutes to complete the race, and if you get the clean race bonus, it's going to pay out 1.5 million credits. And that's a big if, because in a 60-minute race, there's a lot more opportunity for you to botch that clean race bonus than there would be in like a 25-minute race or a 27-minute race or a 30-minute race. There's basically the risk level is twice as high if you want to look at it that way. Like if you're in this event for twice as long as you're in this event, right? This event's 30 minutes, this event's 60 minutes. So this event takes twice as long, then the risk for botching your clean race bonus is twice as high. That's a big increase in relative risk when you're thinking about, getting that clean race bonus or not. That clean race bonus at Spa, see exactly how much that's worth. So we've got Spa right here. The prize is 1 million. The clean race bonus is 500,000. So you're basically risking 500K. It's 2 times as much risk that you're going to lose that 500K in this event than you would by losing the clean race bonus in one of these other events. So just something to think about. But really what I wanted to illustrate here is the economy in Gran Turismo 7. Again, it's not great. We've talked about some of the opportunities that it has, but if you look at all of these different events, all paying out around 1 million credits per hour, there's still a lot of opportunity to get in there, tune your cars, race these events, have fun, earn a decent amount of credits per hour, and get a lot of enjoyment out of the game. So that is my opinion. That's how I feel about the current state of the Gran Turismo economy. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please do hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel for more great Gran Turismo 7 content in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.